Well, good afternoon. My name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Welcome to today's event, the CPA Firm Partners Conference. Just doing a quick audio and video check, make sure that things are good, and we'll be starting in just a couple of minutes or so. Today's event, again, the CPA Firm Partners Conference. If you're just joining, I see some new people coming on. Alex is giving me the thumbs up that things are running well. So thanks, Alex, to you for checking. And we'll just get started in just a couple of minutes. In the meantime, just maybe a little bit of housekeeping and technical issues. You'll want to use your you'll definitely want to use a Chrome browser for today's event. You don't want to be using Internet Explorer or Safari, for example. And you want to be using your laptop. There's a new app that we've got that's created, but is still in the early stages of this platform. So you want to be using your notebook computer and notebook or desktop computer, and also Chrome browser to get most advantage of this, or most functionality of today's event. So as I see more people coming on, we'll just start in a couple of minutes. It's just after 2 o'clock Eastern time here in the Toronto area. So thanks again for joining. And also just a little bit more housekeeping kind of things. So feel free to introduce yourself in the event chat. You can say hello, perhaps share your LinkedIn profile as well if you'd like. That way people can know that you are on and that you're visible as well. So for the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the state of the labor market in Canada. I'm going to give you my top 10 tips for finding staff as well for your public accounting practice, and just share a little bit more about how to make the most of today's platform. So we're just going to get started officially in just a couple minutes as I see people join on. If you're just joining, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Happy to present today's event, the CPA Firm Partners Conference. A lot of great networking opportunities. This is more than just a Zoom event. There's a lot more functionality to today's event, and which you will see as you go along here and as I will share. So just about 2 minutes away from officially starting. Again, just to give people a chance to be here. If you are watching me, that's really the only show right now going on. There's a lot of other features that I'm going to walk you through, but you're not missing out on anything else. There's no other sessions that are happening at this point. So just bear with me for about another minute or so, and then I will officially get started. So again, if you just missed the first couple of minutes, all I've said so far is that you want to be using a Chrome browser for today's event. You don't want to be using a Safari or Internet Explorer. You're not going to get the same functionality that you would otherwise. And you don't want to be using your phone as well. You want to be using your desktop, notebook, laptop, computer as well. And if you are doing all that, then you'll see on your left-hand side a few features that may be helpful for you, which I will go through shortly. But on your left-hand side of your screen, you should see reception stage with a little red light live button on it, and sessions, networking, and expo. And again, I'm going to go through those with you. And then on the right-hand side, you should see some chat, and you're welcome to post your information, share your details as well if you'd like. And again, this is much more powerful than a Zoom webinar. This is not a Zoom webinar. This is an interactive conference platform that we're using. So about 30 seconds away from starting. And again, thank you for joining today's event. And hopefully you will connect with a lot of people today. And as I see more people signing on and coming onto the platform, I get to see you. Excuse me. It's good to see you all. And thanks for, excuse me, thanks for being on here. Hold on a second, I'm going to mute my microphone. Sorry about that. Good time for a water, I guess. Okay, so let's get started. So again, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Thanks for being on here today at the CPA Firm Partners Conference. For the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to share with you a little bit about how the platform works. I'm going to talk about the state of the Canadian labor market, which is my area of specialization. I'm going to share with you my top 10 tips for finding staff in public accounting right now for your firm as well. So today's event is presented by TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca, and it's powered by Event Logic logic.ca, logic with a K.ca. As if you're just joining again, you are not missing anything. I'm right now the only person on stage right now or on any kind of sessions. If you are having any technical difficulties with the platform, it's more than likely not the platform, it's more than likely your computer. So our suggestions are to close all your browsers, all other browsers other than this browser if you are having technical issues. If that doesn't fix it, then close this browser and reopen another browser and come back to the event, of course. If those two solutions don't work, then what you want to do is restart your computer entirely and then obviously come back. And then if the situation still persists, please note it in the chat and we'll help you out about it before you do. We'll know about any issues before you do. 99.9% of the technical issues that might come up have to do with a user's computer or their laptop or whatever, nothing to do with our platform. And we'll know about any issues on the platform much before you do. Now, as I mentioned again, this is much more than a Zoom webinar. It's much more interactive. You want to make the most of today's event. You want to share your screen. You want to share your video and audio. Make sure you have a good, strong Wi-Fi because you don't want to just come here and just be like, well, it's just another Zoom webinar. This is not a Zoom webinar. So I just want to share a little bit about the left-hand side of the screen first. If you're just joining, we'll see reception, stage, sessions, networking, and expo. So the reception area is where you'll go to get information about what the schedule is, what the event is all about, some tips, a little bit about our sponsors as well today. The stage, when there's a red light live button showing as it is now, you'll see some information. You'll be able to go to that stage area where there will be something going on. So that will be happening throughout this afternoon's event. The sessions area is where you want to go for the sessions. The sessions won't be open until 5 minutes before their scheduled start time. The networking area in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen is where you want to go to connect with other people. We've set our speed networking area for you to connect with people for a minimum of 10 minutes or a maximum of 10 minutes long. You can extend that if you want, if you're having a good conversation. Our platform won't reconnect you with the same people, so you don't have to worry about that. And also, you can share your contact information with those people also. So definitely a great way of connecting with other people at the event. And then the expo area, which is in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, will give you information about products and services of organizations that are sponsoring or exhibiting at today's event. So you don't want to miss that as well. Now, just above my head, you'll see how much time is left in the event. Right now, 1 hour and 51 minutes, and you'll be able to gauge your time, use it for the sessions, the networking, the expo, and so on. So my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. As I've said, I've been in the recruiting industry for 26 years. I am a CPA CA. I did my public accounting experience years ago with KPMG. I am the author of the book called Tales from the Recruiter, which is about recruitment and job search tips as well. And it is good for not only for job seekers, but it also is good for people who are hiring as well. I have helped many firms find staff for their firms over the years, and I'm certainly happy to help you out if there is anything that you'd like to, any staffing needs that you might have. Now, TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca and Event Logic present a number of virtual events each month. In fact, we run about 13 or 14 virtual events each and every month. Some of the upcoming events that you will be able to see, I will put them in the chat right now. If you go to the event chat on your right-hand side, you'll see the links to some of the upcoming events that we have. Now, we have the Canadian Controllers Conference happening Tuesday, March 23rd. That's next Tuesday. You don't want to miss out on that if you want to network with other controllers. We have the Toronto Entrepreneurs Conference, which is coming up on March 25th. That's next Thursday. That's a good way to connect with other business owners and contacts as well. Perhaps you're looking to get new clients for your firm as well. We also have the Canadian Virtual Employment Law Conference happening next Friday, March 26th. And the Canadian Virtual CPA PD Day happens on Wednesday, April 7th. So if you check out the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see in the event area where I'm posting the links to each of those events. The Canadian Virtual CFO Conference also happens on Tuesday, May the 11th. So good way of networking, business development opportunities, and so on. Now, today's schedule, I am on for about another 15 minutes or so. I'm going to share with you a little bit about the state of the Canadian labor market and also best practices for recruiting staff. I'm going to share with you my top 10 tips in the next 15 minutes. Then we have two sessions that are going on at 2:30 Eastern time, which is in about 20 minutes or so. We have Nauman Abbasi, founder and president of Corporate Zero. He's going to be talking about building winning teams. And Garth Sheriff is principal of Sheriff Consulting, talking about data analytics 101. Then at 3 o'clock Eastern time, we have Justin Feldman, co-founder of Accounting Clients Accelerator, how to get high-paying clients fast. And Tony Salgado will be here at 3 o'clock Eastern time, president, AMS Wealth Inc., why insurance and succession planning matters. So you have two choices for each of those times. And then I'll be back in about an hour and 15 minutes with the panel of CPA Firm Partners as well. So you don't want to miss that. You'll be able to ask the panelists some questions, talk about what their perspectives are, and hear from different people as well. Now, I just want to mention a little bit about our sponsors for today, TorontoJobs.ca. If you do have any staffing needs, you're welcome to share them with us. You can email sales@TorontoJobs.ca if you'd like, and you can also connect with us through our website as well. You can also text us at any time at 289-206-1651. And I'm going to put that in right now in the chat button as well. So how to reach our recruitment division. You can email sales@TorontoJobs.ca or you can text at 289-206-1651. Now, if you'd like to have your organization and services highlighted, we have speaker, sponsor, and exhibitor options available. Please reach out to me or check out EventLogic with a K.ca. EventLogic, great team to get your event all set up. And EventLogic, if there's an event that you'd like to have done, perhaps a firm event or something that you'd like to connect with, feel free to visit the website. You can also connect with me as well, and I'll put you in touch there as well. Now, state of the labor market in Canada. Well, we have a number of issues obviously going on, and I'll talk about the job numbers that were just released last week as well. Let's start with immigration. Canada plans to bring in over 1.2 million immigrants over a three-year period. Immigration Minister Marco Mendicino says the plan seeks to fill workplace shortages and boost Canada's economy. So they're looking at 400,000, give or take, in 2021, 400,000 in 2022, and again, over 400,000, in fact, 420,000 in 2023. The minister said that Canada needs more workers and immigration is the way to get there. Obviously, the pandemic has changed a lot of things on how things are playing out, but Robert Faulkner, who's a refugee and immigration policy researcher at the University of Calgary, tweeted that if the government met its goals, the next 3 years will be the highest years on record for immigration since 1911. Now, of the 400,000, 230,000 will come from the economic class of immigrants, 103,000 from family members of people already in Canada, 60,000 will be refugees and other protected persons, and about 5,000 will be accepted on humanitarian grounds. Canada has been welcoming much less over the last few months than normally has been predicting. Before the pandemic, Canada was letting in between 25 and 35,000 new immigrants per month. We're running right now about 15,000, so quite a bit lower than normal, obviously due to the pandemic. Now, as far as the job numbers go in Canada, we've had an interesting year, of course, but purely from a statistical perspective, last February, we had the lowest unemployment rate ever recorded in Canadian history. It was just over 5%. Then the pandemic hit in March and April. We lost 3 million jobs across Canada. The unemployment rate went up to the highest unemployment rate ever recorded in Canadian history, just over 13%. Then last year, as the pandemic progressed, but as the numbers became more apparent and we had a better understanding of what the pandemic really meant, the job numbers actually started coming back. So between June and November, we actually had positive job creation. Then December hit and we had a bit of a meltdown in December, certainly in January of 2021. We lost 266,000 jobs in December and January, but in February, the numbers just announced, we regained about 260,000 jobs, which was comprised of 88,000 full-time jobs and 170,000 part-time jobs. Now, there's still 600,000 fewer people working today in Canada compared to where we were in February of 2020. And the unemployment rate now is at 8.2%, which is the lowest since last March 2020. So we're not quite obviously where we were in February, but we certainly are making a comeback closer to that over 5% that we were at. Now, employment improved in retail trade as restrictions on non-essential stores were lifted in many regions. Employment in accommodation and food industry rose quite a bit, primarily driven in Ontario and Alberta. And employment overall increased in both Quebec and Ontario, which coincided with the easing of public health restrictions in most areas of both provinces. So kind of nice to see that the job numbers are coming back. Now, some of the highest high-level numbers in terms of the job numbers, we have 1.6 million people who are still unemployed right now in Canada. We have 18.5 million people who are working in Canada. The unemployment rate for men is 6.9%. The unemployment rate overall for women is 8%. And the unemployment rate for youth, which really skews the numbers, is really, really high at 17.1%. Now, youth unemployment has always been a high rate of unemployment, but in particular, the pandemic has really hit youth quite hard. So the overall unemployment rate currently stands at 8.2%. Unemployment rate for workers over 55 years of age is 7.2%, so well below the national average. Across Canada, the province with the lowest unemployment rate, you might be surprised, is Quebec with at 6.4%. The province with the highest unemployment rate is Newfoundland and Labrador at just over 15.3%. And Ontario's unemployment rate sits at 9.2%. In terms of cities across Canada, you might be surprised that Barrie, Ontario is the city with the highest unemployment rate across Canada at 13%. Victoria, British Columbia is the city with the lowest unemployment rate across Canada at 5.0%. Vancouver sits at 7.9%, and Toronto is at a very high and sticky 11.1% unemployment rate. Now we're going through what's being called a he session or a she session, which is a she recession. The majority of jobs that have been lost in Canada have been in female-dominated industries such as travel, tourism, retail, food services, hospitality. So they're calling this the she session. About 60 to 65% of jobs that have been lost have been female. Now, most of those jobs, 60 to 65%, are also coming back female oriented. Now, if you're old enough to remember the credit crisis of 2008, 2009, we had what was called a he session or a he recession. And that was because 60 to 65% of jobs that were lost back then were in male-dominated industries like manufacturing. Now, we are also going through what's being called a K-shaped recovery. And you may have heard of this already, where there are certain, my fancy K here, but there's certain industries that have done actually quite well during the pandemic and other industries that have not. Now, on the top end are industries like technology-driven. So if you think of Zoom, Amazon, and so on. On the bottom end are a lot of hourly workers, youth, part-time, vulnerable employees. And these are the industries that I just mentioned, being travel and tourism, hospitality, retail, and so on. So that's the K-shaped of the recovery. And unfortunately, as I said, the young people who are the youth, which is at a very high 17% unemployment rate, are often the first to be axed in a downturn. So they're well overrepresented in the bottom part of the K. Now, Canadians working from home. At the height of the shutdown, just over 40% of people worked at least half their hours at home. The number of people working from home declined in February by 200,000 across Canada, but still 5.2 million people across Canada are working from home. And probably don't have to tell you that COVID-19 is definitely hurting women's careers. In fact, research from LinkedIn found that female employees are being disproportionately more stressed than their male counterparts by work-related issues. 74% of women suffer from employment stress compared to only 57% of men, which is still obviously a high number. Now, the global economy faces fears of a lost decade. The Global Economics Prospect Report from 2021, the World Bank fears a lingering impact from the virus, and that could be translated into a lost decade that is related to jobs as well. So have about 5 minutes left. If you're just joining, I do see people continuing to join on. My name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. I've got about 5 minutes left here before turning it over to the rest of the sessions that we're going to have over the course of the next hour and a half or so. We have 1 hour and 39 minutes. You can see that on the top of my screen, just above my head here. Now, on the right-hand side, and I'll just stop here, and then I'll share with you my top 10 tips for finding staff. And will be very condensed, but you'll get the gist very quickly. You can see in the event area, you can see the chat area, and you can see some messages from Alex, and feel free to introduce yourself as well. And you can post your LinkedIn connection. You can post a little bit about yourself. We also have some polls there that you can take, very easy to take, one click, and you can answer the poll. On the right-hand side, also, you can see the stage area. And from there, you can post some questions or comments for the speakers and for the sessions that might be going on. So in the last couple of minutes, real quick, I'm going to share with you some tips about how to find the best people for your company. So number one, learn to be adaptable. And I'm going to put them in here in the event area in the chat. So number one, learn to be more adaptable. It's important for your company to be able to adapt during this health crisis, analyze your current business model in the new year, and companies are now accommodating the employee and how work gets done and more. Number two, being open to more remote work. And it goes without saying, I suppose, in many cases, but companies and firms that are adopting, organizations that are adopting, are in a much better situation right now. Right now, the split is about 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. About 1/3 of organizations, firms have people working from home all the time. 1/3 are working from an office or warehouse all the time. And 1/3 have some kind of hybrid setup. And that is for public accounting firms. Number three, improving the mental health and wellness of your employees. This is really a big situation right now. Really making sure that your employees are well looked after, and we'll talk about that as time goes on, and we'll cover that through the panel as well. Number four, creating better employee engagement. How are you maintaining employee engagement among your staff, especially for those who live alone? Talk about doing regular Zoom meetings. Some of our clients are using Zoom to do comedy hours, little social events, and so on. So have partners and mentors check in on employees. Number five, updating your employee perks. Now's the time to review it. There might be some employee perks that and benefits that you don't even need, and you might be paying for it. So think about those. Candidates or employees are looking for credits, reimbursement of internet. So adapt your benefit plan to there. Number six is train your line managers on interviewing virtually and practice. Very hard to for people to know what to do on interviews and how to make that happen on your side. So make sure to train them. Number seven, look across Canada and around the world for employees. The pandemic, if anything, has opened up the doors for recruiting people from anywhere across Canada or around the world. Number eight, spell out expectations for being available or not being available. Number nine, job seekers are more in tune with health and safety. So make sure that you know what those safeguards are. What are your processes, sick days? What are your policies? Make sure that your employees understand those. And number 10, if in terms of trying to really connect with people on a regular basis, is make everything visual. It's really important for people to know that you are involved with visual side. Social media has become obviously strong, more and more important. So you want to make sure that you are connecting with people on a visual basis as well. So I'm just going to put that in here in the chat, and that way you'll have all 10 points as well. So I'm just going to copy that in here and type that in. So number 10, making everything much more visible. Job descriptions, using your social media, making short videos, very easy to do. Now, just as a final conclusion, reminder as to what's happening shortly. In 5 minutes, we got Naman Abbasi, founder and president, Corporate Zero, Going to be talking about building winning teams, and Garth Sheriff, Principal at Sheriff Consulting, Data Analytics 101. Don't want to miss either of those. How you get there is you're going to go into the sessions. You're going to click on the sessions on the left-hand side, and you'll be able to see the link in order to get you there. Now, we work hard to get you content and speakers that we think you would want based on previous surveys. So I want to thank all the speakers and the team well ahead of time, but also we're going to send you a survey link at the conclusion of this within 24 hours that we'd appreciate if you can fill it out so you can tell us what you'd like to see, what you're interested in hearing about, and so on for the future. So thanks very much for being on here. Again, the sessions are going to start shortly. You can hop into the networking area right now if you'd like. You can connect with other people that are here. Hope you have found the information so far interesting, informative, and useful. And feel free to connect with me as well. And also on the right-hand side, I should say that the stage area, in the event area, you can see the people that are here as well. So you want to connect with other people too. And that's a great feature of how to connect with other people on the event, and you can have some private conversations with them. So thanks very much for being on here. Have a great afternoon, and I will be back shortly as well, but check out the sessions, check out the networking area, and thanks very much for being on here.